Welcome to another update by Force 13 on now Hurricane Bud, a storm that may be starting rapid intensification in the eastern Pacific. It's currently at 16 degrees north and 104.9 degrees west, moving northwest at 10 miles an hour with a minimum pressure of 984 millibars and maximum sustained winds of 80 miles an hour. It does also have warnings in effect now, tropical storm watch in effect for Manzanillo to Cabo Corrientes. And that's the only warnings there right now. But what we are looking at is potential rapid intensification of the system into a major hurricane before starting to weaken over the next couple days as it approaches Baja California. Here's the current forecast track from the National Hurricane Center. We can see that it brings the storm paralleling the Mexican coast for the next couple of days, moving slower between days 2 and 3, before accelerating northwestwards, making a bit of an eastward turn from that as well, and it looks like the current forecast track makes it having a direct landfall on the southern tip of the Baja Peninsula, right where the resort areas are. You can see the current intensity forecast brings Bud currently to a major hurricane for a brief period of time before weakening through days 2.5 to 5. Question of how strong Bud actually gets depends on how rapid intensification works out with the storm, but right now, peak estimates have risen significantly from the Hurricane Center from just yesterday and earlier today itself. Here's the current intensity forecast models right now, most of them bringing Bud to at least a Category 2 or top-end Category 1 hurricane. Keep in mind that these are from closer to 5 to 6 hours ago, so they are actually further behind than what the rapid intensification might say, but they are also much higher than they were a day ago when I made a previous upload video on this. Previously, they were struggling to reach Category 1 at some points, but now all of them are in Category 1, and a lot of them are pushing Category 2 status as well. The reason for the sudden jump in forecast for Bud's strength and its actual apparent intensification is because of very low wind shear. It's currently in nil wind shear, and where it's going over the next 2 days or so also has no wind shear and actually decreasing a bit in front of its current path. And the fact that there's almost no wind shear in the area is certainly helping Bud continue to intensify. As we get to days 3 to 5, though, as it approaches Baja California, wind shear is going to increase, and that is probably what's going to help start weakening the system as it moves northward. The other thing that's leading to Bud's intensification is very warm sea surface temperatures where the storm is located. Currently off the coast of Mexico, sea surface temperatures are ranging from 27 to 29 degrees Celsius, more than enough to sustain a strong tropical cyclone, and Bud will be feeding off those waters for the next few days as it moves northward before they start to cool off a little bit as it gets towards the Baja Peninsula. Here's the current satellite imagery of Bud. This is the visible imagery right now. You can see during the day as progressed, it has clearly become better defined and consolidated. At the end of these frames, you can see it's forming an eye wall. That eye is becoming more apparent overnight. And the storm is continuing to look better and better on satellite imagery as time goes on. And at this rate, this trend will continue. The storm will continue to intensify, potentially rapidly, over the next couple days. And here is the water vapor imagery right now for Hurricane Bud. The storm is certainly not going to be struggling with dry air anytime soon during the next few days, as Aletta is to the left side of the screen. You can currently tell by the imagery that Bud is having lots of moist air to work with as it continues to parallel the Mexican coast, and this trend seems to continue for the next couple days, and this may contribute to further strengthening of the system. Let's take a look at what some of the computer models say. Here's the HWR model. It strengthens Bud into a hurricane. It seems it's a bit behind because it doesn't pick up on the rapid intensification. It weakens it much more slowly than other models do, having it reach southern Baja California in about 5 days as a minimal tropical storm. Although right now it seems Bud will be significantly stronger than this at its peak, as it is currently undergoing rapid intensification. This is what the GFS says about Hurricane Bud. It's a bit late on the uptick right now because Bud is currently stronger than what the model's initiated at, but it brings Bud into a Category 2 hurricane at its peak before weakening it into a pretty strong tropical storm hitting the southern tip of the Baja Peninsula right in the resort area before moving up into the Bay of California and then into mainland Mexico, moving into Southwest America afterwards, while dissipating all the while. And lastly, here's what the European model has to say about Bud. This was an older model run. The most recent one isn't public yet at the time of recording, so it does show Bud as a much weaker system, but what we're really looking at is the track here. It brings it further north, stalling it for a couple days, mostly before moving it into southern Baja California and then into mainland Mexico, into the southern United States. This one isn't really the best for telling the strength, but it does give us a forecast for what the Euro thinks the track will be for the storm. That's going to be it for Force 13 on this update on Hurricane Bud, the now potentially rapidly intensifying system in the eastern Pacific off the coast of Mexico. To look for more of us, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel right here if you haven't already to get daily updates on storms around the world. Check out us on Facebook and Twitter at Force 13, all in text. We've also now launched a Patreon page at Force 13 there because the channel is run on no external funding for over 7 years, and we need help from the community to keep growing bigger and stronger every day. Also for Tropical Weather Chat, add Force 13 on Skype, and Fool 13 at extension 9094 in Discord to join chat servers for Tropical Weather Chat.